The other good thing is that all he is hearing is positivity from you. Let's say his father is not a good man. He doesn't need to know that, because a lot of that not good man could be the relationship he has with you, may not necessarily be the relationship he has with the son. Also, if that's in fact his outlook, these are things that the son will learn on his own. And later in life, that may not necessarily be the case. This is a relationship that can grow and also help him heal, kind of like what Charles was talking about. And when I mentioned about forgiveness, these are things that he needs in order to develop into the man that he needs to be.
Yeah, definitely. Because if he can get understanding before it turns into pain or resentment, then he'll have a better outlook. My mom never said anything bad about my father. Not one thing. What she did tell me about him, she told me how handsome he was. She told me how prominent he was. She never said one thing bad about him. And when I got to 13, 14, that's when I really started asking about who my father was. I wanted to know who I was. That's when she sent me. But I'll also say, I've always felt like all my life, I've just been this child who was stripped from my natural home and forced to grow up in this kind of foreign place. And I used to say to myself, like, I wonder what happened. I wonder how my life would have turned out if I didn't leave Georgia, if I stayed in school. I had this vision of the TV dad playing baseball, dad, so on and so forth. And what I realized as a grown man is that may not have been the father that, if I did stay here, he may not have been that type of father, but just setting a realistic expectation as to what a father is. And I'll also say, I feel in my heart that if my dad could have gone back and done everything over, he would have done different by all of his children. And I feel like he just moved how he was taught to, not feeling like there was any wrong in it, because it was the standard. I forget what I was watching, but they said that the standard used to be for fathers to provide. Like, I put a meal on the table, or your father's a good man. He's a good man because he pays the bills and he makes sure there's food on the table. But back then, that father wasn't even connected to his family. Because yes, he did all that, and that was the standard. That was the standard for a man to me. Pay the bills, and so on and so forth, so I don't want to be bothered. So who taught them how to love?
Mm-hmm.
Duane, I'm going to let you jump in a minute, but let me respond to Charles. The interesting thing, Charles, is that our dad's dad died when he was 6 years old. He dropped out of school to work in the fields to help his mother. So when we talk about who taught him, nobody. The streets taught him how to be a dad. And the other thing is, when you were mentioning about popping up in Pelham, I remember when you came to Pelham, and I think I was in elementary school, I did not know who you were, but I do remember somebody saying that you was my brother, but I saw you one time and I didn't see you anymore. I found out about you when I think I was a senior, had just graduated. Then my mom found out about you at the same time. And the reason why I brought that up is, out of the brothers and sisters that were not birthed biologically by my mother, I can't tell. My mother had so much pure love. You can't tell.
100%.
And my dad probably did think, because he's already introduced and told her about this set of kids. You bring in some other kids from somewhere else that she don't know anything about, it's going to be hell to pay. But I remember when my mom found out about you and Chevelle. Again, we were together. I left the house because I didn't know what was about to happen. But I came back and I talked to my mom, and she just basically told me, she asked him, and he told her, when my mom is around you or any child that she did not biologically give birth to, I cannot tell. And I mean this from the depths of my heart. I cannot tell the difference. Most women are not her.
No.
We assume that things would happen, as adults, and we assume that maybe we're protecting the child. Maybe he thought he was protecting you from getting hurt. Who knows? But he had nobody to call. He didn't have a dad. He didn't have anybody to really call and say, hey, how do I handle these situations? And of course, I'm not making any excuse, because he could have did a lot better.
Right.
But it goes into the generational curses.
Yes.
When we look at some of the families back in the day, it was more than just marriage. It was duty and responsibility to hold that family together. And what you just described from your mother demonstrates what I'm saying, duty and responsibility to hold that family together. Because had your mother reacted differently, she would have been part of that domino that could have destroyed the entire family and disrupted everyone's life. Now, she may have not been happy with that, but her duty and responsibility for the children that she has is to ensure that family remains intact. And what she does causes a domino effect in either direction. Which way is this going to go? Is this going to go in a really jacked up way? Or am I going to make the best of this, of what I can, and be a loving person to all these children? And that sounds like that's what she did. Her responsibility was selflessness. And in being selfless, you're able to tell the story you just shared. And I saw how your brother put his hand to his chest. That made a difference.
Brother, man, I tell you, like, I can't even put it into words, man. Like from day one, she's just always been genuine. Like she's just that gentle, loving person, period. Open arms. And when I finally did come into the fold, I was like, man, like I was mad that it took that long. And I was like, man, like he thought that it was going to be different, but she's not that kind of person. She welcomed me in. So whatever had been missed, the love that I was shown when I did come into the fold, just it wiped it all away.
Sure.
She never made me feel any different than any of the kids, you know, and like that was big to me. And even meeting my brother Count, I don't have a very good relationship with my brother here. I've never had. My brother Count, like he's my dad's junior. Always from day one. He's the first one rolled up to me in school. Like, and our relationship has always, like, I've always had trust for him. Like he's always been what my vision of a real brother was. We don't talk every day right now, but we still, like, that's my big brother. He's always shown me love, never shown any kind of funny. I've gone to him in the midst of my struggles, you know, late night out on drug binges and coming home and trying to find excuses, just all of that. Never once has he made me feel funny about any of that, you know? Yeah. So
great.
Yeah. But my mom always said, it is not the child's fault. She has always said that. And she means it. When I look back now, I see the benefit of having him there. I see that now. I didn't understand that then. I know my life would have been different. And then you're talking about our brother Junior. He's solid. He's not one of those fake people. Like you get what you get. Whatever you get is real. It's real. All right. So let's roll into generational curses. Do you have anything before I move on with that?
No.
Colette, I am going to have to disconnect. I have a project that I have to do. I am so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Thank you. And nice meeting you, Charles.
Brother, nice meeting you.
All right.
So talking about generational curses, the definition that they give is, and we've kind of already covered this a little bit, but alcoholism, drug addiction, gambling, poverty mindset, affairs, divorces, abuse. And basically they was talking about how do you stop a generational curse is to identify that it's a generational curse. This is something that my dad did, or this is something that my mom did. What's my plan in stopping this? Because if you don't stop it, it's something that's going to be passed on to your kids. So you do have to kind of say, all right, this is where I've got to draw the line because I don't want my heritage, my lineage to carry on with the same thing.
I definitely think that is one of the main deal with in families and with a lot of individuals is these generational curses. You know, we get them from these different situations and we grow up in it and then we end up passing it on to our children. My mother had mental health issues. And as a child, she was just in a lot of really bad relationships and she got beat a lot. It broke me. And from that point at 6 or 7 years old, I have led most of my life in that same kind of fear, living that same kind of trauma. At the time, I can't tell you what the diagnosis was because it really wasn't much light on mental health. And I only bring that part up because even at this point, like I'm 53 years old and I am just getting to the point where I am weeding through a lot of that, all of those traumatizing situations, drug addiction and more mental health. So I find myself right here at that point, really coming to grips with all of that in my life.
It takes a while to actually realize that what you're doing is not just what you're doing. It's something that's ingrained in you from way back that you didn't even know was ingrained in you. It's like you're acting out something that you didn't even realize was a stronghold or you know, was an addiction or bondage for you. But then once you do, how do you get out of it? Like, okay, now I recognize, yeah, my dad did this, you know, my granddad did this, or my mom did this, my grandma did this. Okay, now that I realize that, now what? How do I get out of it?
So I think there's like different stages that we kind of come to. So for people who have dealt with addiction and mental health, you know, there are a lot of people that get clean from drugs, but never really do anything for their mental health. You know, so there's like recovery. There's an outline recovery for substances. You go to a 30-day program or you go to a 90-day program, you got NA, you got so on and so forth. But then when it comes to mental health, What do you do about the health portion? There's always an underlying issue. But the healthcare system that we live in today, you have to be more of an advocate for yourself because it's really so much about business. So making sure that you're seeking help, you're seeking help. You're not trying to figure out on your own. 2, making sure that you have a strong support group of people that you trust, that you can talk to, surrounding yourself with people that can give you the right kind of information. But the bottom line is they have to want to do it.
Yeah.
Get in the work.
Yeah, it's going to be work.
Right. But it's okay to fall. So the right expectation has to be set. There's going to be failure. Nobody decides to jump on a particular road and go straight to their destination. It's not that. It takes work. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. There's going to be discouragement. You're going to feel like quitting. You're going to feel like all of that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of making sure that you got people checking on you. They're honest with whatever their struggle is with the people that are around them so that they can hold them accountable. So for people with addiction, or alcoholism, you can't keep going to the block. You can't keep going to the same corner where the same people stand and expect to stay clean.
I was talking to someone the other day and we was talking about basically protecting your energy and protecting your own peace of mind. If someone does something that you don't like and they disregard how it makes you feel, it's okay to cut them off to protect your peace, regardless of who they are. If they are affecting your mental peace, your mental health, and they're disregarding how their actions are making you feel, cut them off.
There's nothing wrong with, first of all, being honest with people and shutting down negative conversations, right? Because people bring that negative energy. They talking about, well, this is going on, or that's going on, or talking about somebody. But we need to be comfortable with saying, you know what, listen, I love you, but you're always speaking negative. We just have to find a gentle way of getting the point across. We have to be purposeful about it. Just shutting it down, period.
Because sometimes people come and they pose as your friend and they're bringing you all of this negativity. But at the end of the day, what friend is going to constantly come to you with negativity? You got to know that every time you come to me with this bad news, it upsets me. And people act like they're doing you a favor, but it's like, no, because that affects my energy. Now I'm in a bad mood.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about this, Tyre Nichols. Do you have anything else to say about anything we talked about before we move on?
No.
Okay, so it's Tyre Nichols. It was on January the 7th that all of this took place in Memphis, Tennessee. He got stopped by the cops. The chief of police said that they still don't know why they stopped him. There's rumors out there that says one of the cops, Demetrius Haley, ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, was messing around with him. But the family said that there's no evidence of that. Some people are saying that he sent pictures, to the girl and she turned it into the FBI. Now, the police department, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, because they took the case over from the police department, they're handling it. They're saying that there's no stones unturned. They're going to look at everything that's out there. Right now, the lawyer and the family is saying, hey, there's no proof of that. But you don't really know what your kids are doing. Like he could have been, but I guess there'll be more to come out on that. Anyway, his parents was on CNN talking to Don Lemon, talking about the video. I purposely did not watch the video because from just reading about it, it was so horrific. However, I was looking at this video on the case the other day and it showed part of the video. And I purposely did not want to see it, but I did end up seeing a little bit of it. He was only about 3 or 4 houses from his house. He started running because, you can hear him on the video saying, why y'all stopping me?
Yeah, what did I do?
Right. And what do I do? He knew something bad was going to happen. So he's trying to make a beeline to the house and then calling out for his mom. Maybe hoping that she would hear him. But, it kind of reminds me of Trayvon Martin, too, where he's right around the corner from his house. 2 of the cameras wasn't activated that the police had. One of the cameras fell off. I think one was activated, but then it was the camera on the street light is kind of what caught a lot of it. And then going back to where the chief police said that she still don't see why they stopped him. There's so many people that are starting to come out and saying they were bullying everybody. They was harassing everybody. This guy was saying they was in an unmarked car. They had on ski masks and they stopped him. He was like, I don't know who that is. So yeah, he made a run for it. They ended up catching him and he, had a bruise or something on his head. I guarantee there's going to be so many other people who are not afraid of retaliation, because that's a real thing, that's going to come out and basically tell their stories. This unit was set up, probably, I've got my own assumption, probably because they wanted more people of color patrolling the streets, because that's what we have claimed as a Black community, put more people of color in our community. And that will, help diminish some of the crime. So they set up this Scorpion unit to put more people, I say people of color, on the streets, but they became bullies. It's almost like they had their own gang.
Yeah.
And now they got 2 more officers out of the 5 Black guys, 2 more officers that they fired. One was the white guy, and I think he was the one that tased them. They did end up firing him, and then there was another one. They said it's 7 altogether. And then the 3 from the fire department that arrived on the scene and didn't do anything. It's just like, it's so much comfortability in this whole scenario. Like, how many times have y'all done this, really? Like, what's really going on in the Scorpion unit?
It was heartbreaking to watch. The look on Tyre Nichols' face, the look of surprise, like, why y'all snatching me out? Like, and what's with all this aggression? And I can only imagine how fearful he was, even when he ran the first time. Tyre Nichols was 6'2", maybe 6'3", right? But he was slender build. Each one of those officers had to be 250 pounds plus.
He was 150 pounds. Combined, there is over 1,000. They're hitting him with batons, kicking him, tasing him, all kind of stuff.
What's that term? Almost like a frenzy, like a pack mentality. They all got in this frenzy of beating him, and they just couldn't stop. Because at no point that they couldn't have cuffed him and just left him on the ground. They could have cuffed his arms, they could have cuffed his legs, and they could have left him there kicking and scuffling all you want.
And the mother said that a cop came to the house and told her he had been arrested, and they tased him and then pepper sprayed him. It was a DUI. He was driving reckless. And she was just like, my son don't even drink like that. Then they asked her if he was on drugs. So now they're trying to create a case. So then they tell her that he's in the hospital. And she's just like, over pepper spray? Tasing? Like, why is he in the hospital? The hospital calls her because the police tell her don't go to the hospital. The hospital calls her and said, hey, you need to come here. You need to come here. And the picture that they took, that's circulating, his dad is the one that took that picture, so you can see exactly what they did. They only told her we pepper sprayed him. Let's go back to our parents' generation. Emmett Till, 1955, got beat by police, same manner. Rodney King, 1991, my generation. So we got Emmett Till, our parents' generation, 1991, Rodney King. Now, Tyre Nichols, our kids' generation. When is this going to stop? When is the police brutality going to stop?
Honestly, I don't think it is. I don't think as much that the police can do to regain the public's trust. There's been too many cases of brutality, and people are arming themselves at an alarming rate. Everybody have guns. Everybody's going to be shooting. Look at what's happening. You got people already running up on police officers in these different cities and killing, shooting, all of that.
When the public retaliates, you are killing some good cops, because every cop isn't a bad cop. Now you're burying a cop who was actually doing what he swore in to do. How do we weed out the good from the bad? I personally have never had a bad run-in with a cop. I haven't.
I haven't either, no. I think about, growing up, and I think about the neighborhood cop. You had certain cops that rode through the neighborhoods, who knew the kids, who knew the people, who knew what was going on. You had beat walkers who walked the neighborhoods. They knew who were in the shops. They knew who was selling drugs. They knew who was doing this. They knew who was doing that, like community officers. They've moved away from that. Now, when police show up, they're already defensive. They have this military training. They're not coming in like they're there to protect. But also, you have the white officers that they hire. They live in the suburbs. They know nothing about the inner city, nothing about it other than what they've seen on the news, which the media continues to give the ghetto a bad rep.
But then you have the Scorpion unit. We put them in place.
They were street dudes with badges. That's what they were. They probably sold crack and did all of that before they even became police officers. Did you hear the language that they were using right out the gate with him? Calling them bees and bust your face and this and all that. They didn't sound like police officers to me. I thought I was listening to a bunch of young people in a rap video.
Yeah, they sound like gang members.
Yep, exactly. So in my opinion, that's exactly what they were. You give people authority and they don't know what to do with it.
People that's going to abuse power, they're going to abuse power no matter where you put them. It's a matter of the heart. It's character. I mean, how do you vet character?
Yeah. They can turn it around. There's going to have to be sensitivity training. There's going to have to be a whole new standard set for how police officers deal with people. Their main goal should always be to go into a situation to de-escalate.
De-escalate. I get everybody that they approach. Some may have a gun. Some may not have good intentions. So I get that. But at the end of the day, in this field, you still got to know how to de-escalate and still protect yourself. I'm not saying it's an easy balance, but there is no balance as it is right now.
Right. You have people with mental health. Cops treat them just like any other criminal. They don't come at them with kid gloves. And there is definitely a difference between how whites are treated and how blacks are treated. Hands down.
The one that they took to Burger King after he shot up the folks in the church. He goes to Burger King. Come on.
I don't know, man. Everything is just falling apart, in my opinion. The whole political structure, the Republicans and Democrats acting like the Bloods and the Crips.
Oh, they be fighting up in Congress. And I'm like, what we doing?
It is up to us. You and I, we can't feel like that just because we're one individual that we don't make a difference. It has to start with us. It has to start with us, like the generational curses, just addressing all of these things, shutting down negative conversations, making sure that we're encouraging our children, just the whole night. It has to start with us.
I agree.